everybody. Dr. Ron Oberstein and Dr. Mary Oberstein are here with our Life by Life West series, and we're so excited to have you. We've got a very special guest with us today, actually a very close friend of ours, and I've known him for 20-something years, or probably more than that. Just a wonderful gentleman and a scholar and a phenomenal chiropractor. We have Dr. Jeremy Brook. Jeremy, welcome to the Life by Life West.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Absolutely. Well, I'm going to give a little bit of an intro, and then we'll jump into it. Dr. Jeremy graduated in 2000 from Palmer West. He's been practicing in Los Angeles, West Los Angeles, ever since. Has been teaching chiropractors since he got out. He started teaching, his first was called Yoga Anatomy, that he started teaching chiropractors. Then he got into technique, where he was a lead teacher west of the Mississippi for MLS. And then just recently, this past year, during this crazy pandemic time, he started his own program called the Yoga of Chiropractic, adjusting seminars. Already did 10 of them this year, which commendable, brother. Really commendable. And I'm sure we'll get into, all this kind of stuff, but, you've been doing it for such a long time. And I really appreciate it. Working with students, working with, young docs and then of course, seasoned docs also. So man, we need more people like you out there, Doc. And tell me something, we know we're going to get into deeper stuff, but share your message. Like, what is the message that you have that comes out of the work that you're doing?
Yeah, I would say that there's a strongest, most aligned, connected, energized version of you that's woven, coded, embedded into like the cellular matrix of your cells. And when in alignment, we express this high vibrational state of being. And when we're out of alignment, when we're subluxated, we fall into a less than optimal state of being. And I'd say that's pretty much my main message right there. And then ultimately, what do you do when you dip down into this lower vibrational state called a subluxation? You got to get it adjusted.
Yeah, well, I feel like, Mary, I feel like we just stepped into the matrix there, so am I Keanu?
I love it.
Yeah, no, I'll be Lawrence Fishburne for this one, right? And I love that, dude. I really love that. I think, what do you do? I'm going right to my wife, my traveling chiropractor, right? That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You talk about the message, I mean, really, when you've been out there teaching for all these years, for 20 years, right? Are people getting it? Are they understanding it? And are they really kind of getting it on that deep cellular level?
That's a great question. I'm going to say yes. I'm in Los Angeles, so we're already more spiritually inclined, if you will, a little bit more on the new age spectrum. But as far as like communicating, I like to take the conversation first into more of a physical, a tangible, a structural, like bare bone, bone out of like white bone out of place, putting pressure on a soft yellow nerve, interfering with a pulsating wave of electricity to every single muscle, organ, blood vessel, gland, and cell in your body. So I like to start off that way, and then introducing more of a functional, dysfunctional, biomechanical language. So as I go through that progressive journey, I'm finding that people are then able to jump into more of a higher super conscious state of being, maybe even like BJ style, next level stuff. But yeah, I think people are really feeling the structure equals function, how that affects the nervous system and ultimately their expression.
I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. So Jeremy, keep going. I love what you said.
Oh.
It's like you've kind of taken like I consider Ron and I kind of old school, and you kind of taken like
consider.
What do you?
Sorry, come on, just given our age,
We are old school.
But it's kind of cool though, because you've taken that and like, as I can relate to that, but you've also given it this like kind of this matrixy spin to it. So I want you to kind of stay on that path.
Yeah.
And continue on the message and how you teach about what you kind of just talked about, the structural, because again, Ron and I talk about the spine and nervous system, but how do you communicate that? How do you teach that?
Well, first of all, I just got to give a shout out and just circle back, because Dr. Ron is my first chiropractic teacher, back when I was with Dr. Mindy Pels as a student, and then ultimately her intern preceptor, and then she kicked me out of the office. I left San Jose to head down to LA. But Dr. Ron, you kind of shaped my early chiropractic brain. But for me, the whole conversation jumps straight in onto the spine, right? Where everybody wants to. There's a big movement right now in chiropractic onto the nervous system, onto the brain, and how the spine can affect the brain and the body connection. But if you're not skilled in inputting a 0.2 second fast thrust force into the spine, then you're limited in the number of people's lives you can shift to a greater level of health and healing and wholeness and vibrancy. So for me, I've got this love affair. Like, I don't know if it's healthy, with the spine. Like, I've got like a bone by bone origin story relationship with the spine, going from the occiput down to the south pole of the spinal lightning rod. But I look at the spine. The spine is the means to tap into the inside. But the beautiful thing about the spine, it's built for multiple purposes. It's built for strength, stability, flexibility. It's the floor of the breath. It's a sensory organ. It's a means for achieving a higher superconscious state of being. So you can talk nervous system. You can be an incredible philosopher all you want. If you don't have skills to tap into the spine, then again, you're limited with how you can unfold or allow people to unfold.
I love it. And it's interesting because, in chiropractic, obviously the three of us know this, we're always talking cause and effect, right?
Yeah.
And what is the cause? Well, the subluxation is the cause. That you've got to be looking at the spine, and the effect is a properly running nervous system. So though we affect the nervous system, what is it that we work with? And I want to tell both of you, I had the privilege, and I really mean this, the privilege of doing a life leadership line today with a gentleman who's been practicing over 70 years. Yeah, Royce Sweat in Atlanta, Georgia. And I am telling you that this man knows the spine, especially the upper cervical spine, because he did Atlas orthogonal, like nobody's business, and it was the exact same thing, Jeremy. It was all about, it's the nervous system is the only organ encased in bone, right? The only organ, right? Yeah. And the Atlas axis, and occiput is all, the only three areas of the spine that are synovial, right? And it was just incredible. And what you're saying is so true, but it's really getting to that spinal point, right? Like to become that master. And I know people have called you, and I know that we all have a long way to grow, but let's face it, you've been teaching this stuff for a long time, and I've witnessed your adjustment, and you are one of the best adjusters that I've ever had touch me, but how, what's it take? What's it take for a young doc or a student or even a doc who wants to change what they're doing as old as Mary and I?
I tell you what, I think you have to be radically curious. You have to have desire to, in this game, but you have to be always seeking knowledge, and knowledge you can go in the biomechanical, structural, neurological, energetic paradigm or category, if you will. But when you seek knowledge, it's ultimately self-knowledge, which is it's almost like a spiritual pursuit. So become curious, and whether you want to, if you're a chiropractor and you're in the hands-on universe, putting thrust forces into the spine, you have to know the terrain that you're connecting with. So, the game is like, know the architecture that you're going to be interfacing and intercept. I kind of think about a subluxation, intercept the subluxation. So the chiropractor has to show up to an adjustment in as close to a hollow bone as possible. So then you can connect deeply with the person and then deliver a correction. So it's multi-layered. You got to train it in the educated arena. You have to train the physicality of your body so that, on demand, you can impart energy, force into the person with a controlled amplitude, with a controlled force, with a controlled depth, with a controlled speed. Yeah. So as far as where does a chiropractor go? You got to be curious. I've gone down wormholes. You said Dr. Roy Sweat. I've gone down. I don't do any instrument adjusting, Atlas orthogonal, but I've read the books. I've studied the books. I flipped it on the other side of the spectrum. I didn't mean to go Logan. There's some great Logan basic books, but I'm just thirsty. I'm hungry. I'm curious. I'm obsessed. I'm passionate. So if you don't have like that obsession and that passion and that curiosity, well, let's just say you got to go to maybe The Wave or a Cal Jam or Mile High. I've never been to Mile High, but I've listened to some of the podcasts and tune into these type of podcasts, and hopefully it stirs something inside, because if you don't have that little something pushing you, motivating you in a curious manner, then it's going to be a long road. And hopefully you got a lot of Bitcoins.
Well, I got a shovel. I just hit him in the butt with a shovel and pray, right? And just pray. I love it.
So Jeremy, when some of our kids came and practiced with us, they kind of schooled us. They came into the practice and, they schooled me. They started talking about the brain and the word the brain. It just kept talking about the brain and the spinal cord. And it's funny because initially I was like, why are we not we can't just stop talking about the spine.
Right.
And so thank you for taking that. It sounds like, your message is so forward thinking, but you've never gotten away from the spine. And I love, obviously, that you talked about subluxation. How do you communicate subluxation? I want to hear it in the Jeremy Brooks way.
Jeremy Brook kind of way. Yeah, it's an epigenetic template, and it kind of starts with we're constantly interacting with the universe. Different forces and loads and inputs and signals and shapes are constantly bombarding us. Now, if you and by the good or bad, if your body can't adapt to those types of stresses, the forces, the loads, the inputs, the signals and shapes on a physical, chemical, mental, emotional level, tension develops. Then does the person have tools and resources, either innately and or can I call Dr. Brook and get myself? Yeah. Then tension develops. If you can't deal with the tension, now we're dealing with a chronic contracted position, maybe not even chronic, but a contracted position. It's bracing, it's splinting and guarding, called a subluxation. Now it's better to get out of this braced, splinted, guarded state before it hardens the connective tissue, like the surrounding territory, from a contraction to a contracture to fibrotic adhesions. And then you really actually do on an x-ray, if that subluxation has been left for a long period of time, you're like, that's a bone out of place. I know we don't like talking about bones out of place. I like talking about bones out of space, bones out of place, bones out of space. That's a subluxation. And ultimately, if we go back to the cause physically, chemically, mentally, emotionally, that's where you have the opportunity to intercept the subluxation, clean it up before that subluxation can really manifest. So there's there's different moments where you have an opportunity to clean it up or give the body some movement or another signal to flush it and clear it out on its own.
I love how he said that.
I wish I could have just memorized that.
Well, we will. We have a tape. because our old school, this would be like what you just said. How we interpret that is, so there's water on the floor, and if you don't mop it up sooner than later, it's going to start leaking through and damaging what's ever below. And yet the way you said it was so just eloquent, and beautiful. I just love it. When you talk about connecting to the subluxation or connecting to the spine, because it's really what it is. It's it's not. Yes, we correct. We locate, analyze, and correct subluxation, and if there's no subluxation, we leave it alone. But I just loved what you said about becoming intimate. Like what you were describing before was the passion and the compassion that you have about just being in love with what you're doing, in that you're in love with this, you're that eternal student, always curious, always moving forward, right? I just commend you on that, because if not, we just get stale, and the next thing you know, we're just doing this and doing this and doing this while we're looking around and doing whatever, and we're really not there, right? And my question that this brings about is intentionality. So from what I'm hearing from you, there's got to be intention, with what you do and how you teach, or what you teach, and teaching the adjustment with intention. Can you talk about that?
Yeah, intention is paramount. Do I need to expand upon that?
Please.
All right. Well, you gotta have like a vision and a mission and a principle and a purpose behind what it is that you do. And, we're here at the Life Center Chiropractic. It's a human performance enhancement center, a movement and alignment school, and an old-fashioned subluxation-based wellness center. So my main intention ultimately is to allow a person to express their full potential. And then, of course, it's like, what are the methods that I do to allow for this full expression? But yeah, and at the end of the day, it's about clearing a person out, correcting the subluxation, period. So yeah, that's my intention.
But Jeremy, and that was beautiful, but
we want to go deeper.
I know, no, you're great. You're great. Part B to my question is this, because I've seen you adjust. And when I watch you adjust, you're like an artist who's just totally blocked out everything else in their sphere, and you're just doing your thing. It's kind of like watching Michael Jordan play basketball or someone like that. I mean, he is just so, or Kobe,
Spud Webb, maybe Spud Webb.
But Kobe's so involved in the game that the only thing he can see outside of that court is his family sitting in the stands, and yet this is that takes discipline, man. I mean, there's something there, and so how do you teach that, or what do you share around that? Because that is intention. That's pure intention.
I get it. For me, I can become very myopic. So for me, the delivering of an adjustment is perfect for my psychology, like hitting a ball, hitting a golf ball, baseball, just something to zero in on. It's innately up my alley. But I would say like the yoga pretty much allows me to zero in. I discovered it when I was 20 years old. So I'm turning 48 this year. So a quarter of a century I've been practicing yoga. And it's not just, when I discovered yoga, it wasn't like power yoga. It was like super chill, slow, classical breath linked with movement. So the yoga practice, for the most part, has informed my chiropractic adjustment. And like yoga and chiropractic, they're 100% interrelated, 100% interconnected. And it's not just about the posture, but it's about the breath. It's about the movement. It's the removing of the external chatter and being able to zero in onto a very specific point. So believe it or not, like on my skeletons, I put dots. All like my spine looks, my skeletons look like they have measles. Just because those are like the entry points. So if you're through like the yogic practice, I became hyper aware of my body, where I'm open, where I'm closed, where the lines of energy, where's their fluidity, where's their congestion, where's their stagnation, and having a self led practice, self-aware practice, enables me to connect with other people and really feel where their disconnections are. So
I have a question for you. So I'm assuming you incorporate yoga into your teachings when you're teaching students.
yeah. So as far as, are you talking like patients or students? Like
students
in the yoga? Okay.
And,
yeah.
and my part B to that's going to be, how does it work when you're teaching a chiropractic student who's never done yoga, has no idea about yoga?
Guess what? I went to Palmer West. I know there was a different conversation back in the day with Black West and Palmer West, but you assume the Palmer pose. When you're doing side posture. I mean, I call it the Jaguar. You can't see it, so maybe so great, but it's a different pose than the classical pose. When you're doing a seated cervical and you kind of look like Gonstead, if you will. The chiropractor is already in a pose. Now, if we can reverse engineer it and take the student, give them certain yoga postures in the same thread as a chiropractic posture, we make it energy rich. So we connect dots, we connect lines of energy, and now we've created this energy rich posture, and then insert it into the chiropractic pose, if you will. And now the chiropractic adjustment pose, it's not like a sterile or a static. I mean, it's like now you're doing partner yoga. You're breathing with the other person. You're moving with the other person. So,
and they don't even know it, right?
And they don't even know it.
Yeah.
Well, they do know it when I say, all right, we're going to do a yoga practice. And now let's take what you just learned from the yoga practice, and now let's dock it onto your chiropractic pose.
Yeah.
And that's
yeah. No, I'm talking about the patient. The patient doesn't even know it. When you're getting in tune with their breath, and you're just moving with people, right? It's kind of like you're just dancing,
Yeah. The funny thing is today, I had a patient, I hadn't seen him for a month, and he says, "Hey, do you take Blue Shield?" I go, I gave him the Blue Shield spiel, we're at a network and da 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 da. And he goes, "Yeah, I went to this other chiropractor because, I basically get free adjustments because of my insurance. But man, they just don't deliver the same adjustment." I'm like, you get what you pay for.
That's right. That's so true. It's so true.
You want a $20 adjustment where the chiropractor's like not even fully connected. By the way, you might get a chiropractor who is fully connected delivering a $20 adjustment. But
yeah,
you get what you
I love it. I love it. What you're talking about, something just keeps resonating with me. And what resonates with me is that people come in your practice, in LA, or La La Land, whatever you want to call it, right? And they aren't all connected. In fact, they're probably they could be some of the most disconnected people on the planet, especially, from traffic and from all the things that are going on there, and, the tinsel that's floating around the town and all that stuff. You created an environment that they could just come in and just, melt, right? And I know there's intention with that. I know that, your beautiful wife, Dr. Kristen, who's a chiro kid herself, or, her father practiced in my hometown of San Diego, our adopted hometown of San Diego, and Clayton Silver, just a beautiful man. But, what'd you do in LA? Like, how'd you grow that?
Yeah, good
question. Because if you can make it in LA, you can make it anywhere, man. They used to say that about New York, right? If you can make it in New York, you can make it anywhere. I think LA is a harder nut to crack.
Yeah, I tell you what, and like I said, you're my first coach. I kind of had, when we would do like the breakout visions and at the power zone, and what did you have? How did you want your office to look and smell and feel? And during those breakout sessions where I'm still a student, actually, it's still like my last year in school, and I'm sitting with the other docs, and I'm like, here's how my reception area is going to look. Here's how the artwork is. And here's the design. Well, the design kind of evolved and changed over the years, but I wanted to dock the disciplines of chiropractic and yoga. Again, you get adjusted, you release the imprisoned impulse, the interference, the stagnation, and then what? In some places, you just say, some chiropractic offices, they may say just like rest for anywhere from a couple minutes to 2 hours, depending on the technique and the style. But here I wanted a different flavor. You get adjusted, and then you go through almost like a flow, integrating flow with different type of like wobble chairs, a dynamic yogic movement system from from the occiput again down to the pelvis, and then the gateways of the spine, the shoulders and hips. So I always kind of wanted like more of an interactive center versus just more of like an adjustatorium where a bunch of tables, bam, peace out, have a great day. I kind of I wanted something different because that was the style that worked for me, that changed me, that shifted me. And it was kind of like, oh, if this got me dialed in from being kind of like an energetic, I'm still pretty energetic. I've been waiting for like things to slow down. But I found like this combination was fantastic, and just allowing a person, once they left our center, they're standing up taller, they're vibrating a little differently, they're breathing. So it all kind of like came down again into just combining my passions from visionary artwork, spread throughout the office. It's like an art gallery. It's a yogic studio. It's a martial arts studio, after hours lounge. All the senses get hooked up so that when a person comes in, they arrive, it's vibey, they get their adjustment. It's a great nest for an adjustment.
I love it.
Yeah, it's been fun. It's creative.
I love it. I'm so proud of you. And Mary, I know we got to end pretty soon, and we got a couple questions, Jeremy, we want to share with you, but I want to share a story. You talk about making it, and Mary, I don't know if you remember this. I think you will when I say this. Every Christmas when our kids were growing up, especially when they were like in high school and, college, Christmas Day, it was a thing that, me and my two older daughters, sometimes Mary and Sydney, our youngest, would come, but a lot of times they would just rather stay in San Diego. We would always go up to the Laker game and we'd watch the Christmas Day Los Angeles Lakers. In this one game, the Lakers were playing Cleveland, right? It was Kobe and LeBron, and it was really just it was amazing. And so we go to the game, and I'm just going to get my Lauren and Morgan with me. Mary, you stayed back in San Diego with Sid. You guys hung out that day and just chilled with each other. And so I scalped them a couple tickets outside, and I said, you guys just go in. I got them some good seats. You go in. I'll text you when I get in. I'm just going to roam around, walk around. If I'm not sitting with you, it doesn't matter. And so the scalper, I said to the guy, look, just take care of them. He took care of them. He said, take care of me afterwards. So they went in, and I said, just get me something. I just want to go in. He comes back to me and says, listen, I got this ticket. I know you only wanted like to spend like $75 on you after what you spent on the kids, but I don't know where this is, but it looks like it could be decent. It's a little bit more than what you wanted to spend. I go, just give me the ticket. So he gave me the ticket. I paid him for the ticket. I walk in and I go down the steps and I keep going down and I'm going down and I'm going down. And my kids were up, they were in really good seats in the lower level, but up, and they're watching me go down and my phone's buzzing. I'm not looking at my phone. I'm just looking at my going down, and I'm on the second row on the court, between the top of the key and half court, right? And my phone goes off like crazy. Dad, I want that seat. Dad, I want it for the next quarter. They're like watching me just walk down there. I didn't know where the hell I was going. But I have to tell you, I sat down. The guy next to me looks at me. We just started a conversation. And he says, where are you from? I said, San Diego. And he goes, oh, what do you do? And, it's the game has already started, And I go, I'm a chiropractor. And Mary, I know I told you this.
I remember this.
He looks at me and he goes, oh, my God, do you know Brooksy? And I go, Jeremy? He goes, Jeremy, of course, Jeremy, he's my chiropractor. Do you know Jeremy? I go, of course I know Jeremy. Dude, you made it in LA when you go someplace, you sit down in the middle of nowhere, not knowing anybody, especially at a Laker game, and there you are, And I tell you, right then I knew this guy's got it. Not, I love your haircut. I love what you do. I'm modeling myself after you. Yeah, I got to get those going, but I love this. I'm doing the dry, wet shave now. I got it all down, but I just love you, brother. So thank you for being with us. And
big time. Thank you.
Mary, we got a couple questions, and we're gonna end this puppy.
Yes. Okay. I'll ask you the first question. So go back, and tell the viewers, what advice would you give to yourself if you could go back and talk to Jeremy in chiropractic school?
In chiropractic school.
Mm-hmm.
Good job, kid. You're on the right trajectory. You've done a great job of connecting with tremendous mentors. Now's the time to harness all of this educated information and consolidate it into what is your vision, your mission, your passion, and your purpose, and be laser sharp with that.
I love it. I love it. All right, Jeremy.
That's who you are.
That is who you are. Yeah, man. I just can't wait to see who Jacob is. Your 1.5-year-old son. He's going to be amazing. He already is amazing. All right, here we go. Second question. Same thing.
Yeah.
Right now, with who you are, what would you say to Dr. Jeremy, who's just getting out into practice? What piece of advice would you give him?
This is going to be real, because we can get kind of light and happy, and this is going to be a little bit more. Don't be so rigid. Don't be so dogmatic. Learn how to communicate better. Develop more empathy, more compassion for the people that you are serving. And you're not taking care of like a listing. You're not taking care of subluxations. You're taking care of people, and to be patient with your patients, because they may not completely understand it. They may not have this vitalistic, a lot of people don't have a vitalistic, holistic paradigm. They're more in like this mechanistic, although the mechanistic is contained within the vitalistic universe. But I would say, hear the people. Don't be so sharp. Again, like, we get very passionate if you're a principled subluxation-based chiropractor. I was very, hey, Jeremy, I don't care about what's going on with you. It's just about clearing out the subluxation. It's more than just the subluxation. The subluxation is the nucleus we got to deal with. Jeremy, deal with Dr. Jeremy, young Dr. Jeremy, we got to deal with the periphery around it.
Yeah, I love it.
Wow, that's great.
Woo! Well, that certainly was.
I was emotional.
Wow.
I love it. Well, thank you.
Let that one sink in.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of beautiful gems. I want to, just thank you for being with us today. Thank you for taking time away from your family. I know that you're done working and you're going to go home and be with Dr. Kristen and little Jacob and and just kind of just be with him, and we appreciate you. We appreciate all you're doing. We're going to be flashing, your website and, all about, the Yoga of Chiropractic and your office website, and, if people can reach out to you, we'll put your email on there. And we just really appreciate you, Jeremy. You're just amazing. Amazing.
Very grateful for the both of you, not just what you're doing at Life West, but in chiropractic and for humanity. So big gratitude.
Thank you.
And Jeremy, I want to come to one of your seminars.
Deal. We've got one coming up in Bozeman. No, next one's up in the Bay Area in Berkeley in July. So.
Really?
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. And now, Jeremy, after June 15th, things start to lift. We got, we got a school. We got room. Glorious. Yeah, we'd rather you be at the college than in Berkeley. Berkeley's a great place, but we'd rather you be at the college. Be at the center of the hub, in the nucleus, right there, right? With the mitochondria and the Golgi bodies and, all that other stuff that's in there. So thank you, Jeremy. And Dr. Mary, thank you. It's always wonderful to be with you, even though you're just a room away. It's great to see you. And I love you more today than I did 5 minutes ago when I saw you, 35 minutes ago when I saw you.
That's my goal.
And to our viewers, thank you. Thank you for being with us. Thank you for keeping this alive, because really these shows are nothing without you, and the reason that we bring people onto these video casts is for you, just to take this nourishment in and just, really cherish it. Like what we put up here is probably a lot more important. Food we put up here is a lot more important than the food we put in our mouths, right? Because the toxicity in here has a hard time cleaning out. So, we can always cleanse the body, but cleansing the mind is a lot bigger thing. So just keep taking these in, share these videos. We just so appreciate you being with us. And from all of us at Life West and from Dr. Mary, myself, and Dr. Jeremy, just keep loving, serving, giving, and doing, and sharing everything you have from the core of what you have so that you can make this world a better place. So until our next Life by Life West, we'll bid you adieu, and can't wait to see you next time. Thanks so much.